Okay. Okay, very welcome back indeed. Very welcome back. Going to talk today about genetically modified organisms, or GE as it's now referred to, and asking the question: should we be trusting these biotech corporations like Monsanto, who've been voted one of the most hated companies on the planet? Should we be trusting these companies and the like with something as essential as food? Because as the old adage goes, we are what we eat, and food is essential as is the light, as the water and the air that we breathe. And long story short, I don't think we should be trusting these for-profit, privately owned companies, allowing these companies to manipulate our food source. Yeah. So, but it's just another anecdotal point, though, is that they are just not just any for-profit company like Monsanto. They're chemical companies that specialize in killing insects and bugs and killing herbicides, and they're causing deformities in Vietnamese children during the Vietnam War as well. Go Google Agent Orange. So should we be trusting these types of companies with our food? I don't think we should. And there's other stuff, like even our own employees, as reported in the Independent, don't even want to eat genetically modified food in their canteen. So that's not a good sign, folks. But why should we trust them? I'd say, why should we trust anybody who fails to fulfill their promises? I'm going to put a bit of music on in the background here. Might be a bit more pleasant. Let's see. So yeah, they came in promising to end the world hunger, and I was like, wow, this is great. Maybe we should pay attention to this. They're promising higher yields, but now this is evidently false. This Monsanto chemically intensive system does not produce more food. And go ask the Indian farmers, actually, who are guzzling down the pesticide, committing suicide on a mass scale because of crop failure. Okay, well, you have these fucking Terminator seeds anyway, so they're breaking the whole age-old cycle of farmers planting seed, growing the crop, harvesting, keeping a portion of those seeds then for next year's plant. And no, we don't do that anymore. We have to buy the seeds off of Monsanto. Terminator seeds. Wow, thanks Monsanto. What a brilliant idea that is. And as for killing all the monarch butterflies, I suppose Monsanto will say, well, we don't live in a monarchy anyway, we live in a republic. So Monsanto, you have to love them, eh? But other promises that came in, it says higher nutrition. It says we're going to make higher nutrition. Golden rice they have for us, Another big monoculture plan, Completely oblivious to the fact that there's hundreds of different varieties out there, leafy greens, that contain, not exaggerating, thousands of times more vitamin A than Monsanto's golden rice. And even natural varieties of rice like red rice contain more vitamin A than Monsanto's. So why should we be using this more expensive, riskier technology when nature provides everything that we need at a cheaper price? Why should we? We shouldn't, is the bloody answer. They promised us as well, hallelujah, but they promised us lower pesticides, lower herbicides, lower chemicals. So this was true, again, the first few decades, and now with the advent of predicted rise of super bugs and super weeds, farmers now have to buy more chemicals. But that's good news for Monsanto, because they're a chemical company, so they're selling more chemicals, Another thing is, hey Monsanto, will your new technology, would that cross-contaminate now with neighbouring farmers and their crops, Oh no, they assured us, no. When it does happen, they sue the pants off of the farmer, and get the land on. It's good news for Monsanto. They shouldn't be allowed to do this anyway, because this is gene pollution. They're contaminating the ecosphere with their new technology. There's been absolutely no environmental impact study on what it's going to be, like what that consequences could unfold, But it's a good thing we have the fucking doomsday seed vault in Norway. I wonder, was anyone see this coming? But we have that there for a reason, and I wonder, is this the reason? Because they're finding now, surprise, surprise, and this will be a shocker for a lot of people. They're finding that the wind blows the pollen of the GMO plant. Imagine the wind blowing the pollen miles, kilometers away. And this is what's happening. It can't be controlled. It's very reckless. For people who can so precise and can engineer the traits and all of this, what they want, they can't make a crop that doesn't pollinate. It's amazing. So what else then did they promise us? So Monsanto, they had this great idea. less pesticides. So we're going to make the plant produce its own pesticide, you see. So when the bug comes along and eats the plant, its stomach explodes. But hang on, Monsanto, it's not going to be harmful to our stomachs. No, this is no. The same most hated company on the planet who broke every promise says, no, trust us, don't worry. It's going to get broken down, you see, in the digestive system, digestive acid in the stomach. It's not going to pass the stomach. Oops, Canadian study finds the Bt toxin in the blood of women, and in the umbilical cord, you know. So, thanks, Monsanto, thanks. You know, should we be living in all these toxins? We need to start thinking of a way to live without these toxins. No ways. I'm putting them into the food, Monsanto. Do you understand? It's bad enough what they're being sprayed on top of them. So, this new technology, and in fairness now, farmers have been manipulating genes, you know, through species and stuff like that, trying to engineer a better plant, better animal. But what hasn't been happening, to my knowledge, is they haven't been further fucking jellyfish genes into tomatoes. You know, things like this that just completely contrary to the species barrier. And we should be very cautious when we do this. We're not that bloody smart human beings, okay? We have a track record of making big mistakes, you know? So when this old science dude with a white face, pale white face, white jacket, in a lab all his life, probably hasn't seen a fucking green field or the sun in years, has a painting of a window on his lab wall, and he's perfectly fucking naturally says to mix the jellyfish with the tomato. Perfectly natural. Well, he can believe that, but I don't want this crap in my field, right? Now, for someone who's so bloody proud of their new technology, it's a surprise that they don't want to label it, don't want anyone to know about it, isn't it? Is that not a red flag for you people out there? Obviously, the reason why they don't want to label it is because no one wants to buy their crap. No one wants to buy it. We don't believe them. Now, in fairness to Monsanto, speaking about safety studies, I suppose, in fairness to Monsanto, the majority of studies are on their side with relation to safety. But I wouldn't wipe my arse with any study conducted by the manufacturers of this new technology, or any institute or independent study that has been financed by these biotech industries, whether directly or indirectly, for obvious reasons of conflict of interest. So I just don't trust them. Now, there is studies out there, though. There's some in Russia, some French studies as well, indicating the possible potential harm of these studies. For example, the Seralina study in France, what surprised me was they used the same safety protocol, same study model as Monsanto, except they fed the rats for the whole lifetime, as opposed to only 3 months. Monsanto would cut the safety study off after 3 months. What this study found was that after 3 months, around 4 months, they start popping out with tumours, all sorts of stuff like this, you know what I mean? It's crazy, man. This technology needs to be studied thoroughly. Double-blind placebo effects by the proponents and by other people to prove this technology is safe for human consumption before the fucking stuff is introduced onto the shelves. Like, it's the same thing in all these technologies. They're experimenting on us because they don't know the consequences, because they haven't studied the bloody technology in question. Okay, so with other people out there, I'm not going to mention Jeffrey Smith and Vandana Shiva. They're very vocal opponents of GMO technology, but I'd recommend you visit them now. The whistleblowers, when people are working with the company for years and they come out risking their career and they get sacked, and they're speaking from the heart, concerned about the potential damages of this new technology. When people do that, people should listen. Exactly like Edward Snowden, like conspiracy theorists were saying for years that we're being spied on by the American government, the NSA. Snowden comes out, yes, it's a fact, we are being spied on, you know. But what are these people, you know, just carry on as if it's normal, you know what I mean, as if it's acceptable. Whistleblowers are coming out from the Monsanto camp. A fellow who fed potatoes, a fellow against glyphosate, all linked below. They're telling you that the fuel's not safe, folks. You know what I mean? Listen to them. What else could you say? Look, I suppose people need to understand that commerce trumps science these days. It's not about the science anymore. Commerce rules. If there's a money-making racket, it's going to be sold. Science will be manipulated, even the peer-reviewed process. Okay. I'm not anti-science per se. I believe there is a place for genetic engineering in the case of if you have a fetus who has some hereditary disease or deformity. I think to have that option for parents to deny that option if it is available would be wrong. I think we can do stuff along those lines. But what I don't want to see is mosquitoes flying around, genetically modified mosquitoes, injecting me with vaccines. I don't want to see vaccines in bloody bananas, yeah? And isn't it surprising how the Monsanto and all these companies now have patents on aluminium resistant seeds and drought resistant seeds? I wonder, do the geoengineers ever sit around the same table as the genetic engineers and talk to each other? Well, I wonder, does that happen? But it is very surprising that Monsanto is already prepared for this non-existent chemtrailing that's going on around the planet. It's not necessary. No one wants this GMO food, Monsanto. No one wants it, okay? Nature works. The future is urban gardens, vertical gardens, hydroponics, aquaponics, okay? The future is not industrial farming, chemically intensive stuff. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. What outperforms it is permaculture. Go check out Jeff Lawton's videos. He turned the desert into a fruit forest, my friends. Desert into fruit forest. We know how to do it now. Learn how to do it. It's called permaculture. Yeah, it's what I'm going to get into. Because I'm up to now with this bullshit, man. As much as I possibly can. I trust nature. I don't trust man. So I think I'll leave it there. Although I'm not a priest or definitely not a saint and have absolutely no religious affiliations whatsoever, I do extend my blessings to each and all that is watching this video right now. Thoughts and intentions do have an impact. Go check out Dr. A. Malta. Take care and God bless.